And we're live. Good evening, GEG Amman Googlers. My name is Georgina Dean and I am the GEG leader for GEG Amman, and I'm very excited to be joined by our very special guest, Stephanie Howell from GEG Ohio. Welcome, Stephanie.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
We're very excited about the awesome googliness that you are going to be sharing with us later today. So without further ado, we will just introduce the session. I will again share the slide deck with you guys in the chat. And if you would like to go ahead and share where you're joining us from this evening and your name. It's always awesome to collaborate with people internationally. So go ahead and let us know where you're joining us from this evening. And we are going to take a look first at a couple of distance learning resources, but just really brief today because I know Stephanie's really excited about sharing her resource too. So through distance learning, some of the feedback that we were receiving from some of the team members was that students were having difficulty with typing because, you know, they're at home and they may have been used to, at least in our region, Stephanie, that may not be the case in America where you're joining us from, but here a lot of the work that happens is not always on technology. So now that we're in distance learning using technology, students are having to type a lot more. So we thought that we would share the best typing websites. So if you guys click on that link, it's going to open up Common Sense Education browser, where actually and I know I've shared Common Sense out before in Tip Tuesday, but they've actually curated and collected different resources for educators to be able to build, and students as well, their typing skills. So you are able to scan through and take a look, like here's typing.com, and if you hover your mouse over the link again, it's actually going to be able to pop that open for you. And what I really love again about Common Sense Org is that they brief you on everything. So it's like they've done all of the vetting process to tell us everything that we need to know to make sure it's safe, secure, and what the resource is all about. So if you scroll through here, you're able to see a lot of different resources that will help students build their typing skills. And these could easily be, it doesn't have to just be for a computing lesson as well, guys. This could very easily be a starter for any lesson. Let's just have some fun, get our fine motor skills up and running before we do other curriculum activities. So there are loads of ways that these could be used. They could also be part of choice board learning for cross-curricular events as well. So yeah, as well as computing events. So do take a look at that. It is shared out for you guys. And then the second resource that I wanted to share out with everybody, it looks like my computer might freeze again, guys. Oh, there we go. Perfect. So the second resource is an emoji maths puzzle starter called SolveMoG. And I think, Steph, you and I saw that together. And I picked that up on one of my collaborations during the Global Educator. I think my browser might crash soon. If it does, Stephanie, just so you know, it takes about 2 minutes for me to reboot and log back in, okay?
Sounds good.
My poor laptop, as I tell GEG Amman every week, has been is just working overtime, as I'm sure yours is too, all day long. So at the end of the day, it can get a little bit slow. Okay, well, while that's waiting to load, I am going to perhaps we'll come back to that resource just in case I crash with that browser, and I will make Stephanie's browser larger. Stephanie, if you would like to go ahead and perhaps we can send it your way for your share today. Is that okay?
Sounds good. I am ready.
All right.
Does everything look okay?
Yep, it is just almost there.
Okay.
Are you sharing your screen yet, Steph?
I am. Is it not coming through?
I can see your image, your lovely photograph, Stephanie, and also your live feed. Let me play with the browser, the grid settings. Hold on.
And I just stopped presenting, so let me retry it.
Okay.
My computer's glitching to do with this distance learning adventure.
Well, you are not alone, and people who are part of GEG know that I've had to reboot before on calls, so don't worry about it at all. So now we can definitely see, Stephanie, your two of your lovely images. So we'll just keep playing with that.
All right, because I have the slide deck up.
Can you still hear me okay, Steph?
What'd you say?
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, can you see my slide deck?
I can't see anything, but I'm going to say that I think I need to do a reboot because on the live stream, it's been frozen for 30 seconds. So what I'm going to do is just sit there, let me reboot, and give me just up to maximum 2 minutes to come back, okay?
Sounds good.
Okay, see you soon.
See you soon. I don't know if you can see it yet.
I can see your screen now, yes. But just let me make sure that we're live because the connection hasn't unfrozen yet. Hi guys, can you hear us now? Are we back? Hi everybody, can you hear us? Please just give us a thumbs up in the chat if you can hear us. Okay, Tamina says she can see your screen, Stephanie, so that's a good start. Let's just make sure we have sound. Ah, Dina says yes. Awesome. So Dina and Tamina are joining us. Tamina from Jordan and Dina from Cairo, Egypt. So I don't know if you know anybody in Egypt, Stephanie. If not, you should connect with Dina. She's an awesome educator.
I would love to connect.
Okay, cool. So without further ado, I would like to present to you the very talented Googler, Miss Stephanie Howell.
Hi everyone. Today I'm going to be talking about tracking student success while in distance learning. So a lot of my teachers use this and it just helps with that student ownership piece and to help manage all the craziness and all the turn-in work and where students are in the progress. So just real quick, a little bit about me. So I'm Stephanie Howell. I love Twitter, so feel free to follow me on Twitter. I am a Google Innovator, Google Trainer, and I have my Google Level 1 and Level 2, and I just love Google. When I first started teaching, I didn't use a whole lot of technology, and then about December, I was a little bit of like, I don't know if I can do this, and it was my first year, and I went home on Christmas break, and I found this thing called Google Classroom. And I decided to give it a try, and it completely changed my classroom. And that is when I became hooked with Google. And that is when I realized how much technology can empower students and really help those students. I was an intervention specialist, so I had students who really struggled with learning, but Google allowed them to kind of have that playing field that was a little bit level. So that's a little bit about me. And we're going to first get an introduction about what is the tracking sheet, why I use it, and then I'm going to give you a live demo, and then I'm going to close with any questions or if you need help creating. So right here, this is the tracking sheet, and as you can see, it is color-coded with conditional formatting, and this is all set up for you. So all you would have to do to get access to this is click this image, and there's going to be a link because it's hyperlinked, and you're just going to open up my Google site. And on here, there's another how-to video if you ever need to go back to that. And there's also a way to protect browse, which I'll talk a little bit about later. So if this is something that you want to use, you'll make a copy right here on the website. So I'm going to go ahead and make my copy. And to use the tracking sheet, it just kind of depends on the teacher and how they use it. So as you can see here, while we're waiting for that to load, columns are 3A, 3B, 3C. So some teachers do that. Some teachers name their assignments right in the different columns. It just depends. So you would put your weekly work or your daily work. I have some teachers that put their projects or like the writing process. So maybe it's write your intro today, do body paragraph 1, create your thesis, that kind of stuff. And they would align that through the top. And the black mark. So one to see that activity after they complete it would need a teacher check. So right before they get to those black lines is where they need to see a teacher. And if the teacher says all 3 of those assignments are good, they can move on to the next level or next set of assignments. So it's really flexible where you can move all of this in your Google Sheet. And so it's really important to manage what we can measure. And if students can see what we're measuring and how they're working, they're more likely to stay on task and to complete different projects because they know what is expected and the timeline for it. And so why teachers in my district use this tracking sheet is because it helps them track. The students can take ownership and they can see where they're at along their learning goals. They can also check in. They can quickly, as you remember, over here on the left-hand side, there's a red, which says they need help. The orange means they need checked, and the green means they're good. So students can use that communication to let their teacher know what help they need or what they need checked on, or maybe they're good. So it allows for that communication to easily flow in the classroom, especially with this distance learning when we're not in the classroom. My teachers can go to this Google Sheet and go, okay, I need to email these 4 students today and set up a Google Meet. And then the final reason is it has drop downs. So it's super easy for students to control. It changes colors, so it's nice for teachers to be able to know quickly how are the students completing on the different lessons. So as you can see, they are finished with those activities. They're starting to work on that last activity. It's quick, it's easy to use. So now we're gonna go ahead and create one. So feel free to make a copy. You can click right here to get the copy again, or you can go up to that image. And I'm gonna go ahead and show you what you need to do. It's gonna force you to make a copy. So once you make a copy, this is gonna pop open. Again, all the colors are going to pull over. I've already set the drop downs for you. I've set the colors. All you have to do is enter your assignments at the top and your student names along the side. And then you can edit whatever you feel if you wanted to. I've seen some teachers change these and add emojis to them. So feel free to edit however you would like, and feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions on how to do that. So up here, I might write, they have to read an article. For B, they might have to come to a Google Meet session. For option 3, I might have that they need to do a Flipgrid. And I can write all of those different activities there, and maybe I want them to do one more activity before they check in with me. So maybe I also want them to work on a Jamboard activity. Right, you're gonna type in all your students' names here. So I'm gonna go ahead and just put my name in here. And a lot of teachers already have their student's name in a spreadsheet, so they just simply copy and paste them onto this sheet. It is a lot of setup at first, but once it's set up, it's pretty much good to go. And so I am working on my reading, so that turns blue. Once I finish it, I just change it to finished. And then I go to the next activity. I'm working in my Meet right now. Once I'm done, I just simply change it to finish. And again, you just keep going. Over here was when we were in the classroom, the location. I had a lot of teachers that were working in different places, so they might send students to the hallway. It will timestamp when the kids leave to go work in the hallway. The reason I put this in is because we had an Alice drill, which is like one of our emergency drills. And the teacher, I let students go to the bathroom, and I didn't tell the teacher because I was like, oh yeah, that's fine. And we didn't know where students were. And this is super helpful because if you have that student that likes to use the restroom a lot, you can see exactly what time they left. And you can say, I only gave you 5 minutes instead of 15. So you could maybe try to use this through distance learning and maybe add when they started and when they stopped, just to keep track of how much time it's taking them. But this piece was huge for my teachers when we were in session. And then over here, just like the status, I can say I need help. I can say I'm good or check me, and it quickly changes those colors so the teacher can see. Now, one issue that we do have, because students are students, I might like to mess with student 2's row and be funny and say that they're finished when they're not even close to being finished. So what you can do is you can protect the row, and only that student can edit that row. So you're gonna click the row 4, 2 fingers and 1 click, so the right hand click, and you're gonna go to protect range. Once you open up protect range, I usually type in the student's name here. I'm gonna set permissions. And I'm gonna change this to not only me, but I'm gonna do a custom. Once I do custom, I'm gonna type in the student's name here and I'm gonna hit save. So I'll put in my personal email. Then I hit done. And now I can share that with that student. All they can do is edit that row. However, you have to do it for every single student. So it is a lot of setup, but once it's set up, it's good for the remainder of the year, because what I tell my teachers is to make a copy of the original. So they're gonna duplicate it. And then they would write week 1 or whatever week they wanted to put on there. And this is protected. So all they have to do is delete those, and then they can rewrite their new assignments up at the top so that the students have something to work for. And then on here, I tell my teachers to protect this sheet, and only the teacher would have access to this sheet. So I would take away everybody else but for me. And then if students do complete work on week 1 and need to check it in with me, I can change them, and I have a little bit more control over that. So again, this is the tracking sheet, and you can move your teacher check-ins. You can get rid of these altogether. It's completely flexible to meet your classroom needs and to make sure that your students are on track. When my teachers assign this in Google Classroom, they allow every single student to edit it. If you make a copy, the kids would have their own Google Sheet, and it's a little bit harder for a teacher to track 28 students in their class. So just make sure that when you do it, allow everyone to edit, and then protect your rows as you see fit if you think if your class will need that. And so what questions do we have? Feel free to drop them in the chat.
Okay, this is an amazing tool, Stephanie. I remember the first time I watched you present on that, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is the answer to everything. So thank you so much for sharing. We do have, and everybody seems to be super ecstatic about your tool. So thank you so much yeah, really, really excited. So we did have a couple of questions, and we also have Sherry joining us from Kentucky this evening, and so she was chatting about it too. Tamina would like to know, can students see each other's students' work? Like, can they see how other students are doing?
Yeah, they can. So we haven't had any issues with that. But I could see, somebody getting probably upset about it. So what I have suggested to teachers is leave it as student 1, 2, 3, and you just tell your kids there's numbers and hope that they don't tell. Again, we know students don't always keep secrets. But I've been providing feedback to Google to hopefully create some way where the only kid could see that one row, because that would be amazing. Or if you guys know of anything, let me know.
Yeah, I agree. The ability to be able to hide certain rows, I think, will be a great feature addition for G Suite for Education. So really great to hear that you've put that feature update through, Stephanie. I will definitely go and upvote that for you for sure. But yeah, as Stephanie said, guys, like, shout out in the chat if you can see any other ways to use this, etc. We also had a comment in the chat from Dina, saying that she could use it to track how the students are sharing with other students. She's using a Google Sheet at the moment to track the work, but she says that it's nothing fancy. So I think she's very excited about your formatting, and colors was also another big one in the chat, Stephanie.
Yeah, and feel free to change the colors. It's super easy to do that. Let me see if I can reopen it. Because all you have to do, I always go to the help button. That's like my favorite place, instead of searching all the different areas, because my mind can never remember where everything is located. But once you're in here, just type in conditional formatting. And then it will open up on the side once it loads. And you can change all the colors that you might need. I did green just because that's easy for me to think like a stoplight, the green, yellow, red. But again, you can change it to whatever color you wanted to, and here's all the different color options. So you would just click it. You can even change what you wanted it to say, and then I can change my colors.
I love the fact that there's so many color options in there now. That didn't used to always be the way. So this was another great update from G Suite. So this is brilliant. We also had Sherry was saying, and I hope I pronounced your name correctly. Sorry if not. I'm not always great at pronouncing names, Cherry. Saying that she watched you do this in a different PD, Stephanie, and she didn't realize about the permissions. So she's excited to know that we can set permissions now.
Yeah, and you can watch that other video on the website if you want just to go over that again. But yeah, 2 fingers to click and then do protect row.
Perfect. That's awesome.
And it will not copy over to another sheet, those same protections. So again, put that feedback into Google because that would be amazing if it did. But I always just copy the original, rename it as like a copy so I have that, and then just use the original as my ongoing checklist.
Absolutely. And Abid has joined us from the UK. Stephanie, your buddy Abid. Our buddy Abid.
Oh, hello, Abid.
So great to have some representation from different continents this evening. And Abid said that possibly we could ask our other friend Clay to create an add-on for that.
That would be awesome. I have been asking Clay for a lot of different extensions and add-ons, so I'm giving him a little bit of a break right now, but we'll get to him.
There you go. So for those of you from GEGMN and elsewhere that are listening, Clay is another superstar Googler who we've been in communication with, me recently, but Abid and Stephanie, I think, for much longer, who's actually a developer, which means he can program the back end of things like extensions and add-ons. So we're very grateful to have someone like that in our PLN, yeah?
Yes, we love Clay. He hasn't shared this out, and he'll probably kill me if I do.
Oh.
But he just made an extension that's called Meet Chat Transcribe. So you no longer have to record your Google Meets. He made a button right here that all you have to do is click, and it will go to a Google Doc. And again, this is not public yet, so he might kill me, but I will share it to those that are listening.
Well, we are very lucky that you are doing that for us, Stephanie. Thank you. And I'm sure everybody in GEGMN is very grateful for that also. That's very interesting you mentioned that. I wondered if I had automatically installed that extension as well then, because in my school domain, when my Meet recording goes into the Meet recordings folder, the chat also goes into a Google Doc, but maybe it's Clay's extension then? I wonder.
It might be. I don't know.
That's very interesting.
Yeah. But I think I have to send you the link because I just tried to put it in the chat and I just remembered if you're not the manager of a YouTube chat, you can't put links in. So I will send it to you, Georgina, to put in the chat.
Okay, sure. You could drop it in our Google Meet chat if you want. Yep.
I will do that.
Great.
There you go.
Yay.
Yeah. Is there any other questions?
There weren't any other questions. Guys, if there's any other questions, please drop them in the chat for Stephanie. And or if you have any other ideas of how you would like to use this in your classroom with your students during distance learning or beyond, I am sure we are always happy to learn from each other. So Dina, Tamina, Abid. Oh, Bonnie's joining us. Hi, Bonnie. Bonnie, forgive me. I don't remember which state you're from. You have to let me know.
Louisiana.
Louisiana, that's it.
Bonnie, I think it is.
Well, welcome to Bonnie. That is so exciting. You know, I think this whole idea of like international collaboration is really going to get me on par with my states very quickly.
Yes, there's so many of them.
Yes, exactly. Okay, so while we're giving everybody a couple minutes to ask you questions, Stephanie, I will share the last couple resources that we had on mini PD training. So please stay with us because we would love to have your input as well. So we'll just make Stephanie a little bit smaller on the YouTube video. There we go. All right, and Stephanie's still there. Great. So the other couple of resources that we had for today were related to, oh yes, we had the emojis, which I don't think you guys saw, right? Because my computer crashed. So I'll just show you quickly. This is an awesome maths puzzle activity. It's got some great starters. Dina, I know you're teaching year 3 over there. So check out this SolveMoG.com. Brilliant for math starters in primary schools. But Tamina, Stephanie, just so that you know, Tamina and I were doing a staff book study right now for Mathematical Mindsets by Joe Bowler. I don't know if you've read that book or not. So we're trying to investigate how we can get more creative innovation and meet all of maths learners' needs. So this is a great tool to help all of you guys. Yeah. Yes, Tamina says she loves maths puzzles, so that's great. And the other freebies that we had at the bottom of today's slide was Slides Mania. Now, I do believe that I have shared Slides Mania once before, but I was so excited about the new choice board that she just released that I had to share this with you guys again. So I'll make that a little bigger. This is the new one. So it's just a really quick shout out that if you have not yet subscribed to Slides Mania, you totally need to do that. Some amazing slide decks. There was also a writing one to inspire writing, and recently one of my colleagues from APAC GEGs, he posted a slide deck she just released recently as well for coding. So some brilliant creativity, guys. Subscribe to slidesmania.com and enjoy those slide decks with your students during remote learning. The last one is another free choice board from, let me see the name again, from Miss Jones. This is something that I picked up off of Twitter, and look at that. Does anybody recognize what that looks like? Anybody in the chat? There's a little bit of delay, Stephanie, so we'll just give them a minute or two to jot down. I don't know if you've seen that slide deck yourself or not. This collaborative choice board, but it's absolutely brilliant. Oh, they're talking about clay in the chat. I won't say that live, but it's there if people want to read it. Okay, so those freebies are there for you. As always, you know, some of the educators, they share freely their resources on Twitter and different places, which I'm always happy to share with all of you. But do make sure you give them a shout out when you use them to collaborate with your organizations and your students so that they know where everything came from. So just taking a look at the chat. Looks like everybody is very happy with the resources we shared today. And if there are, we'll just see if there's any other. Yes, Abid says, well done, Stephanie, but I see you're in the chat too, so you can read that as well. Stephanie, I'd like to ask you before we close the call today, if you have any top tips that you would like to shout out to educators down here in Jordan and abroad to support them with distance learning. A couple things that maybe you found really helpful with your staff and students that you could share with us.
So have you seen On a Scale?
I have not, no.
Oh, let me see if I can pull it up.
Okay.
So On a Scale is hilarious. I learned this from our GEG Global Staff Room. And it allows kids, let me go ahead and present my screen again. It's like building relationships, which I think is the #1 thing we have to do in order to help students. Can you see my screen this time?
It is loading, just stand by. Yep, you're good to go.
So here's On a Scale, and these pictures are loading, and you just say, okay, which one are you on a scale of 1 to 9? And so a lot of my teachers have been putting these into Google Forms. Of course, I love the Queen Elizabeth one. That one's probably my favorite because I just love Queen Elizabeth. So here it is. The kids would tell you which one they are feeling like and how they're doing with distance learning, and then you could check in. So if a kid picked number 3, I can go, okay, what's bothering you? Like, what is happening? I think images can really help us describe our feelings, because I think when we just ask kids, how are you feeling? I'm okay, or I'm fine. Where these images can really help you determine how they truly are doing in the classroom. And so one of our members, Karen, her son, I think, created all of these different On a Scale of. So that's probably my #1 tip, is just check in with your students, build that relationship with them, and then just be really clear and have clarity on your direction so they're not confused.
I love those tips. Absolutely.
And I can share this with you.
Yeah, if you can share that, then I will drop it in the slide deck as well as in the YouTube chat as well. That would be brilliant. But those are two really important things. Number one, use of images to be able to connect visually with learners, because you're absolutely right, Stephanie. People don't always have the words to express themselves, you know, and it is often a case of people saying, how are you? And yes, I'm doing fine, this kind of thing. So your resource will really give students a great way to be able to express themselves. And it looks like a little bit of gamification there. You know, I'd say it's on the border, but a really great way for people to be able to interact. So let me get that link and drop that in the chat. There you go, guys. That is that wonderful resource from Stephanie. And the second big thing that was really important you shared was about clear expectations across the board, not just for students, but also for staff, also for parents, how they can support their kids at home. So I love that tip. Be as clear as possible, verbally, as well as in Google Classroom activities or anywhere else. So there are more check-in options. There is the other link from Stephanie in the chat, so please feel free to grab that resource. Stephanie, I'd like to thank you very much for these amazing resources that you've shared with us today, as well as your amazing presentation. Your tool is going to be a massive support for many educators down here and abroad for anybody who joined. So thank you so much for joining. Is there anything else or anybody that you'd like to shout out today?
I just want to give you a shout out. You have been doing amazing, Georgina. I just love collaborating with you, and you have just inspired me to be a better educator. So I'm so glad I met you. But I also run GEG Ohio, and we just started a global GEG, and I'll have Georgina put the link to the website. So feel free to join. We're just trying to collaborate as a global group. And just looking for anybody that's willing to join our group and collaborate so we can grow better together.
I love that. And I'm quite a little red in the face. For those of you who know me, yes, I'm a little red in the face now. I didn't expect that to come. So thank you for the shout out, Stephanie. Here is the GEG Ohio link in the YouTube chat now. Oh, William is joining us. Hi, William. Do you want to shout out where you're joining us from today? William is an Adobe education leader, part of my Adobe crew. So it's really nice to see you on a Google call today, William. Thanks for joining. So I've just shared out the GEG Ohio link, and now I'm going to add the global GEG, if I can find it, which it should be. There we go, perfect. And I'll drop that in the YouTube link as well. Oh, Abid beat me to it, look at that. Every time I have a question, Abid is like all over that. You need something, that is our go-to guy, let me tell you. Abid, what would we do without you, right? Thank you, man, thank you. Okay, so Dina says you are a true inspiration, Stephanie. So she really, yes, absolutely. And, oh, William's from Ohio too. I didn't know that, William. That is so cool. Do you know Stephanie? Do you guys know each other?
I don't think I know William, like maybe through Twitter, but not personally.
Oh, that is so cool. Well, William is a very creative educator, Stephanie. So definitely you guys will get along and connect, as will everybody. So William, drop your Twitter handle if you want in the chat, and then Stephanie can connect with you guys too. So yeah, so we went a little bit over the 30 minutes, but I did have a computer crash, so sorry about that. But yeah, I would also like to say a big thank you to everybody on the call and anybody who is watching this recording at the end of the show for everything that you guys are doing in education right now to support your entire community, from your students to the parents of your students, and to each other, as well as to your families. It is not an easy time. We are running on week 8 down here in Jordan, and we also just had a really big thunder and rainstorm in the middle of today's show, so that's always interesting. But I want to thank you guys, because it's not it's not easy, especially for educators. I would say, and I don't know if you agree with me, Stephanie, that outside of healthcare, education is probably one of the next set that is run off their feet right now. So
yeah, I would agree. And everybody's doing awesome, so keep up the great work.
Yeah, you guys rock. Okay, so we will say thank you very much for joining GEGMN today. Please remember that we have our meetup check-in every Sunday at the same time, which is 6:30 p.m. GMT +3 or 4:30 p.m. BST. Thank you, Abid. Be proud of me for being able to convert to UK time. I've been not good with my time zones lately, so I'm quite proud of that one. And 5:30 p.m. GMT +2, which is the Egyptian time zone, joining us today. Shout out to Dina. So join us every Sunday just to say hi, make sure you guys are all doing well, and get some positive energy for the week ahead. And we have our Tip Tuesday again next week at the same time, 6:30 p.m. GMT +3. So thank you again for joining, guys, and stay safe, stay healthy, and take care. Thanks again for joining us, Stephanie, also.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, bye guys.